I hope that's actually working. Is that actually working? I don't see it working. It's as if I don't exist here yet. Stop streaming, start streaming. I don't understand why it's not working. This is live 15 seconds ago. God, things used to be a lot simpler on YouTube. Honest to God. Okay, we seem to be running now. Alright, we seem to be going. I don't seem to find a way to make it actually show me what I'm doing, but there we are. So, it is the Sunday service. Welcome to it. It's a Sunday. This has been the most difficult Sunday service I've ever had to do. Just setting up the live stream is a bloody nightmare, lads. Honest to God. YouTube make it so hard. It's so difficult to get things in motion, to make things happen, and then it just seems to shut down all of a sudden. But anyway, welcome to the Sunday service. It is it's 2 p.m. on a Sunday. Well, it's 2 minutes past 2, it's according to me. So I'm 2 minutes late. I do apologise. I am here now, though. Most important part, turn off my own thing because I'm seeing it kind of backwards from me. There's Eric Rochford in the house. Niall Burke has arrived. Joe Lyons is here. Nice to do the dedicated show. George Falls. Yes, George Falls has passed away. I don't think anyone actually knew he was as seriously ill as he was. He passed away during the week. His memorial service is tomorrow. I can't be there. I am booked into a gigantic trip that takes me to Romania first thing in the morning. To go to Transylvania in search of Dracula and all sorts of things. Been booked for weeks. I can't get away to go to the memorial mass tomorrow, which is in Mount Jerome Crematorium at 3 p.m. GMT. The Italian Card Club, which George was a member of, is creating a guard of honor for the day. So if you have an Italian car, if you have a car at all, you're more than welcome to come along. There is a meeting of people afterwards in the Ardaten Inn, I think it's called, the Ardaten Inn, directly after. So 3 p.m. tomorrow, Monday afternoon, in Dublin. You can head along to Mount Jerome Crematorium and pay respects. I'd love to go. I know a lot of the guys are there. George is a massive fan, but I just can't get out of going to Romania first thing in the morning. I'm driving the Trans-Bulgarian Highway with Mazda. There only appears to be two of us doing it, so it's myself and Philip Nolan, friend of mine, and we're driving right down into Dracula land, actually, for this bit. So it should be interesting. I'm looking forward to that thing. It'd be good crack with any luck. Mo Carey says, what do you think of new BMW Z4? BMW seems to be going in the right direction with some of their designs, a little bit different from what they're doing in the past, but they are all starting to look a little bit the same, which is my main complaint still with Audi. But Audi have managed to pull that back this year and managed to distinct each one from themselves. So, but BMW seem to be homogenizing the whole lot and continually driving the X-Drive down our neck, the four-wheel drive version now, which ruins the handling, really does, in all but something like an M5, and even that is a bit meh. You have to press all of the buttons and turn it all off to make it a useful looking M5. Other than that, but I suppose a Z4 is a funny car to have as well. It's a unique thing. You won't see too many of them on the road. It's a nice, in that respect, it's a nice thing to have because it's not going to be everybody's car. So that's what I always like. We're in a different office, by the way. I created a new office, putting up some shelves and stuff here in the background. That was actually, just found out this morning, that was actually the first camera I ever made a YouTube video with, was this one. It's a DV camera, so it actually takes tapes. Great camera, absolutely brilliant camera. I don't think I can get the tape out now. No, I can't. No, you have to have battery power to get the tape out. But you can there's actually a DV tape in that. And you have to use a great big cable and it created gigantic files that you can edit on your computer. But I found this morning a Panasonic. It still works. It still works. I flapped the battery in this morning and turned it on and it worked fine. But that, if you're ever thinking of making YouTube videos, don't be concerned about the camera that you're using. There's the first one that I ever used, and I'm still here 8 years later. I don't use it anymore, of course. It's the wrong format these days. It's like 540 aspect ratio. It's a funny thing, so it's weird. Anyway, Mercedes has to launch a new generation GLE as it's showing its age. Yeah, it's funny that Mercedes have been launching cars for the last 2 years. They successfully launched multiple brands or multiple types of cars, all distinctly different from each other, and it's amazing to see where they're going with it. It really is an amazing run that they're on at the moment. They are creating a very unique look to everything, and I quite like that. I quite like what Mercedes is trying to do and what they're at. If they keep it up, brilliant. If they don't, who knows. Hopefully you enjoyed last week's Sunday Service. It was kind of an impromptu one. I was at Mondello's 50th last week, and just went live right down the pit lane where lots of people get to go, but I get to kind of wander in around places and be at things that nobody else does. It was funny. Where were we there? Do you still have the camper? What do you think of it? No, the camper's gone back because I have to drop a car tomorrow morning at 7:30 a.m. The camper came from Cozy Campers in Dublin. Renault Ireland supplied a master to them to allow them to be able to make a camper van out of it. So it's kind of between Renault Ireland and Cozy Campers. But amazing, absolutely amazing. 75 grand, about the same price as a VW California, but much longer. California is about 5 meters long, no, about 4.5, 5 meters long, something like that. Whereas that camper van I had there was 6.5 meters long. So it's a full meter extra, and you really do notice it. Permanently like a pop top, so permanently push up the top. Plenty of room to walk around inside. Plenty of room for cooking. Came with a toilet, came with a shower, which is very good. Just a unique sort of an experience. I'd love to. Funny enough, it's actually turned me on to the idea of building my own camper van rather than buying a camper van. You know, buying a Renault Master or a Sprinter or something and flooring it out and putting in your own camper thing. That would make an interesting sort of a video, I think. I don't know whether it would or not. Maybe be bored looking at it. Simon Edwards finally got a notification. YouTube hasn't let me know for weeks. YouTube is just like torpedoing small channels of all kinds. I've had so many multiple YouTube users who are smaller channels than me contact me going, did you get this problem? Have you got this problem? I've had bigger YouTubers than me who are suffering massively because their viewership has fallen down. People aren't getting notified anymore. You clicked a recommended page and I probably won't appear on it for you. I looked at a GCN video the other day, which is Global Cycling Network. I went back to my recommended page and all I seen then was Global Cycling Network, nothing else. I religiously have watched people like Casey Neistat. I watched a bit of PewDiePie the other day as well. I get no notifications when they upload a video. Nothing. And they don't even appear on my homepage. H3 podcast barely appears. Once in a while it'll be there. There's all kinds of stuff going on YouTube. I don't know what they're at. I think they want us all off their system. They prefer us to be, go away and be quiet in the corner somewhere, and it's not working for them. But anyway. Gavin Shanley says, very sad news about George. He was always great to have around the Alpha Club. He was brilliant. A great crack here with George. A regular Sunday Service commenter and donator as well. He donated to the Sunday Service. He donated to the channel as well through PayPal. He was a really big supporter. I met him a couple of times. Met him once particularly down in Carlow earlier on when I got one of the press cars. The Carlow lads got together and did a sort of a Sunday meet, like a cars and coffee thing. And I went along to it. We ended up chatting for ages. Big Newcastle accent. I was lovely, man. Very nice. Very strongly opinioned. I love that, though. He had a great opinion of things. So he's a really nice guy to have around. Such a shame I didn't get to see him before he passed away. That's always a regret of mine. Spend time with people, you know. You only ever regret not spending time with people after they're gone and you've no access to them anymore. So this is exactly what's happened now. I can't spend time with them now, and now I want to, of course. So it's a difficult time. But tomorrow, in case you didn't get the message already, you'll just join us, so you're not rewinding back or something. I think you can rewind back. I'm using OBS. I hope. YouTube. Hello. Tomorrow in Mount Jerome Crematorium in Dublin at 3 p.m. There's a service for George. It's a crematorium, so it's not a religious thing. It's not a Catholic or a Protestant or nothing like that. It's a crematorium thing. It's a service for him. The Italian car club that he was a member of will be bringing along a guard of honour, so they're bringing all their Italian cars. George's own Alfa Romeo will be there as well. Beautiful car, kept it very, very clean and tidy. That'll be there too. Hopefully someone will be driving that on a day. So if you want to come along, you're completely welcome. There's an open invitation on Facebook to everybody who wants to send or wants to drop in and come along to it. It'll be lovely for him to do it. Any money that is raised today by my Sunday service will be donated to charity. I'll figure out which charity in the end. I'll pick one that I know is doing really good work in what they're trying to do. So anything that comes in today from the Sunday service of any kind, any donation, whether it be PayPal or Patreon or Super Chat, which one from Jay has just hit us there, £10. Thank you very much, Jay, for your donation. That will go on to a charity. If you want to nominate a charity in the comments there, I'll look into it and see if I can find out more about them. So anything that comes in today goes to charity. But tomorrow at 3 p.m, if you can get down to, and bring your car, you bring whatever you got down to Mount Your Own Crematorium at 3 p.m. for a guard of honour for George Falls, Gordon Peter Falls, Buster, George. He had many names, he had different names. On YouTube here, we knew him as George Falls because his account was called George Falls. His real name was Gordon Peter Falls, a nickname of Buster. Bob, I took a test drive out the Skoda Superb and I'm disappointed. Poor handling, short windscreen, poor quality interior. Which Superb are you driving? Were you driving the very modern Superb? Because I definitely didn't have that problem. Handling is never going to be a brilliant thing in a Superb. It is just not designed for that. It is designed entirely for fuel economy and comfort and space, like firing things at the boot. So handling, you're never going to get good handling out of that. Short windscreen, I don't know what that means, other than it's a short windscreen. It's not poor visibility. I mean, poor quality of interior, that's a Skoda thing. Depends what you're coming out. If you're coming out of a Rolls Royce into a Skoda, you'll see the poor quality. You're coming out of a Volkswagen into a Skoda, you'll see no difference really at all. How about the new Toyota Supra? Isn't that exciting looking? If Toyota get that right, which I hope they don't go crazy. See, the problem that Toyota have is they've got this hybrid thing, this fuel economy hybrid battery power thing going on in the background. They have to be very careful of what they put out. So they can't just kind of slap a V10 into a Toyota Supra or V8 or something and go, that's it, we're done, there you go, there's your fast car, goodbye. Not anymore. It would betray their thing, you know, their raison d'etre, which is to be a hybrid thing. Everything's going hybrid for them. So Toyota Supra kind of has to be the same, but it looks very exciting. It'd be great to have Supra back on the road. Toyota used to put out some amount of absolutely gorgeous cars. There's actually an MX, is it an MX-5? No, not MX-5. MR2 up the road from me, covered in moss. Some guy has bought it and left it in a garage, and it's sitting there in moss. And I'd love to just drop into someone's random house and go, what are you going to do with that that car? I have Passat now for 2 days. For compare, it's better to drive, better quality, but still worse than Mondeo. I'd go the other direction. I don't think the interior of the Mondeo is really all that much to write home about. It's lovely if it would be, but Eric Rochford, thank you very much. He submitted some money by PayPal. You're very good. Links down below. All that money is going to charity today in memory of Gordon Falls, George Falls. So anything that comes in today, whether it be Super Chat, PayPal, Patreon, whatever it is, donate your money, and I'm going to give it on to some good cause out there, some good human cause, a cause that doesn't necessarily look after animals, it will look after humans. So I'll try that. I'll find one that is good and go after that one. So anything put in today will be very good. Mondeo, to me, last time I had a Mondeo, the windscreen wiper squeaked. The time before that, the whole dashboard creaked. But they're nice cars, but they just feel very lumping. Passat would be the better drive for sure. From a Mondeo, for Skoda Superb, Passat's going to be a better drive. It's just the way it's set up. It's set up for that kind of thing. But as being a better car, I'd struggle to tell the difference between the two of them. Reggie Freddy says, hi Bob, it's a bit late for this because I just bought one, but I heard some awful things about the Opel Insignia. I've just bought a 2014 one with a full service history and a 2-litre Fiat engine. Is that Fiat engine? Is that not an Opel engine you put into the thing? It's an Opel Insignia. What awful things have you got? They're not really that bad, right? There is some problems with the older ones, the 2014 ones. A friend of mine brought it in from the UK, and that has one of the cylinders completely blew up on him. Not blew up, it didn't come out through the bonnet or anything, but it's not working. So it's only running 3 cylinders or something. I had another guy who said that it went on fire on him. Don't know, behind that there's been some problems with Opels and Vauxhalls and fires in the dashboard. It was mostly I thought it was a Safira rather than an Insignia. If it's got a full service history, I wouldn't be too worried about it. They're all okay, you know. Opel aren't any worse, or Vauxhall aren't any worse than anyone else. They've got their own problems. But you know, if you're that, I wouldn't be too concerned about longevity of the car. But you know, you still got to get them serviced and got to mind them, just like anything else. They can be problematic. Any car can be problematic if it's left to its own devices. Mike Burke says, well, Bob, well done on completing the Ring of Clare. Saw you near Kilkee. Oh, yeah. It's an accomplishment of own surviving our roads on here. Yeah, there were some of them roads were rough, Mike. It was like Pebble Dash. It was like cycling on a relief map. So it was like little flat bits, and then some bits had some bits of tar, and then some bits just had some stones. So, and my bike is a carbon bike, so it's really rigid when you're driving down or cycling down. Brilliant day out. 160 kilometers with Skoda doing the Ring of Clare. Is it next week or the week after? So very soon I'm doing the Tour de Boyne Valley as well. It was 150 kilometers, so 10k short. But the Ring of Clare was really good. Headwind all the way out, massive wind and rain for ages, and then we turned the corner down around Kilkee, I think, and started heading back towards the start finish line, and the wind got on the back, and it was like brilliant for ages. It was lovely. We flew down hills. I set my highest pace and speed. I did over 50 kilometers an hour. It was amazing. Johnny, be good to watch in engineering and a work Sunday, no trains. Go man, Johnny, well done, thank you very much. £10 to the funds, which is always very good. What does a car radiator do? A car radiator, so that's in the water system of the car. So a car without a radiator, when you turn it on, everything starts to move. The friction inside the engine causes the entire engine to get warm, which is why when you turn on the heater you get warm air out. The whole engine gets warm. It continues to heat up through friction no matter what kind of oil is in there. So the only way to cool it down is to move the water around the car. So they've got little water pipes that are embedded everywhere, and they move water everywhere that's needed to get cold that isn't being touched by air. That's why an air-cooled engine will overheat. Old air-cooled engines will overheat in traffic because not enough air is flowing around and start heating. A water-cooled engine will not overheat, or probably won't, as long as it has a radiator. So the water passes through the radiator, which is cooled by air or a fan that comes on when you're stuck in traffic. You hear like a hoover on the front of the car. And that will cool the radiator, which cools the water system. It's not water anymore, by the way, but it'll cool the water system, which keeps the engine temperature exactly where it should be. It's not really water anymore. It's kind of a mixture of coolant and water is what's in there. Now, water can freeze, of course, and water can also boil. So neither of which is useful for a car engine. But if a radiator is malfunctioning, it's leaking, which means that none of the water is going around the car. Is all leaking out of the car, which means you overheat. There's no other the only other reason a radiator wouldn't work is the thermostat is not regulating the temperature properly, so it's not telling the radiator whether the car is hot or cold. A thermostat can get open, and that means the car thinks that it's hot all the time, so it's always running the fan at the front. But other than that, there's very little else can go wrong with a radiator. There's no real fix in a radiator. People used to put an egg in it, and it kind of works with poaches and goes out through the hole, only if the hole is big. You can also get rad weld. These days it's nearly as cheap just to get a new radiator and fit it yourself. You do it 10 minutes work. Jack Nestor, hi Bob, how are you, man? Doing well there, Jack. Reggie Freddy says no, they are Fiat engines, Bob. I've heard a lot of oil pump failures and engine seizing. I haven't heard a lot of them. I'll bear in mind, Reggie, that you tend to only hear negative. So when you buy a good car, or you buy a good device, or you buy a good phone, you go online, you go, wow, I bought a great phone, it's steady, woohoo, right? Do you though? Not really. If you bought a phone, or you bought a car, you bought whatever it is, and something goes wrong with it, you immediately take to the forums and immediately take to Twitter or whatever. What's wrong with my car? I want to sort it out. So you only ever really hear about negative things on the internet and recalls and the bad stuff. And of course, when it comes to newspaper reporting, you'll only ever hear about the bad stuff. So just bear that in mind, that it's on an individual basis, nothing may happen. Now, you might get unlucky. Fiat do sell a lot of engines worldwide for all kinds of purposes, so I wouldn't be worried about having a Fiat engine in my car, because Fiat engines all over the place, they're everywhere, they're in all kinds of cars. The reason that Fiat still exist in the way it is because they can sell engines and engine components and parts and steering columns and seats and stuff to other car manufacturers and van manufacturers, more importantly. But I wouldn't get too worked up about that now, unless there's a massive recall and it hasn't been done in your car, or unless you want to contact Opel Ireland or Vauxhall UK if you want to do that, whichever car it is, and ask them, give them your serial number and go, is this on a recall list that I haven't had yet, or whatever it is, and see if you can get it done that way. There's always a way out. I wouldn't get too worried about it. You've bought it, so you're kind of stuck with it now. Just make sure your servicing is up to standard. Get somebody you trust, you know, you understand, that will be able to deal with your car, has experience in that end of things. You shouldn't have too much of a problem. Powell says, Bob, what do you think about the new trend changing standards, hatchbacks, sedans, estates for crossovers and SUVs? It came from the US. I don't know if it came from the US. Most of these little SUVs we have here are European bound. They're kind of more came from Japan. SUV in the US is a truck, right? And their trucks tend to be close to 8 meters in length, which is like a truck here, but it's more Ford Ranger, or a Ford Ranger would look small in the US, right? Again, some of this stuff, the SUV thing, this small SUV we're looking at that's come here as a trend is more from the Asian, Southeast Asian, China market. It's kind of that thing has come around the side, and plus there's a desire in Europe to be higher in the car, to not sit as low anymore. People want to sit a bit taller up. Also, people who are buying cars tend to be more mature, they tend to be more my age and above, and that's where lads are, not me, but that's where lads are to get medical problems with their knees and their hips and their back and things, and they don't want to be climbing into a small sports car. They want something a little bit taller. But trends move. A couple of years from now, it'll be back to hatchbacks again, or we'll have moved on to something else, or we'll get something different like a self-driving car if Mr. Tesla gets his way with his advertorial thing that was on YouTube. Marcus Brownlee, MKWB or whatever he's called, that guy did an interview with Tesla. What an advertorial crap that was. Someone said I should do a reaction video to that. Yeah, I don't do reaction videos, but someone said I should do a reaction video to that, which means I'm just going to sit there going, this is crap. Anyway, Mo Carey, why are so many car models not built in the UK? That would be a trade embargo thing. There'll also be trade problems there too. You've got a very skilled workforce in the UK who are used to building cars, hence Nissan, Ford and all of the other car manufacturers out there. The problem is that it's very expensive to do business in the UK because it's all in sterling. So you got to set up a business that trades in sterling and sells the sterling out to be euro and export and all that. It works for some car companies. For a lot of them, I mean, taking aside Nissan, Ford, and say Formula One, which is all done out of somewhere near Birmingham there. If you start taking that stuff out of it, it's much easier for a car company to do business in somewhere like the Czech Republic, or Amsterdam, or you know, Holland, or wherever. It's easier to do business up that end because they're in a country that they've got a head office in. So if you have a head office, like Kia has a head office somewhere in Austria, I think, you know, to do business in the UK means a conversion of everything. So it's hard to do business there. So most of the time, most car companies just build in their home territory, or where the main head office is, or where the cheapest output of stuff can be. You know, the easiest way, a trained workforce, and a factory that already does cars. It's already done. Most car companies used to make cars in Ireland as well. They lost it all in the 80s. Don't forget, you can support this channel in multiple ways. There is all the links down below for PayPal, Patreon, and of course Super Chat, and even cryptocurrency. So if you can support me, absolutely brilliant. Today, anything that comes in today is going to be donated to charity in memory of Gordon Falls, or George Falls as we would call him here. So anything that comes in today goes out there to him in the first place. So I give whatever you can. I'm going to try and find a charity or his family or someone that I can talk to about getting a charity effect on any of the funds that's raised today. So if you can give generously today, it'll be absolutely brilliantly. Anything that goes in today will go back out to the charity. Mondeo Interior is just the same league anymore as Passat or Superb. Ford seem to be a bit more complacent these days with the Mondeo. Ford are very far behind the trend. They're catching up, but they've left it very late to do the catch up. Some of their interior stuff that is still rattling off the production line is from 3-4 years ago. You know, the little tiny blue screen on the top of the dashboard needs to be replaced with that big color screen that they got in the Fiesta. They need to move forward and do it quick, and that's a problem, and will continue to be a problem for Ford for the next few years. The Land Rover Discovery SUV is a moving production from Solihull, UK to Slovakia. First Land Rover to be assembled outside the UK. It's about time. Land Rover has nothing at all to do with the UK anymore. I mean, funds wise, who owns them and who funds them and who makes the money out of them. It has nothing at all to do with the UK. It just happens to be Land Rover. They sold out. They sold out the whole production. So they're going to move it wherever it's cheapest now. They're going to move it wherever they can make more profit. They are making giant strides profit-wise for Range Rover, Land Rover, Jaguar. They're selling more cars and they don't need production in Solihull anymore. And that's the problem. That's the problem with investing, with a company investing money in an area and then the government giving them breaks, and then the government takes the breaks away, and once the government takes the breaks away, the company just goes, nah, well, we're finished here, bye. That's the way they do it. Most of these cars can be assembled anywhere. You could open an assembly plant here in Ireland and assemble those cars just as quick if we could gear up to it, but our government, of course, are too short-sighted to ever achieve that. It'd be lovely for car companies to continue expansion in places like Solihull. I know guys from Solihull out there. I've been over there many times with good friends over there, with plenty of guys. But the problem is that they're going to move where production is cheaper, where the job can be done, and it will cost them about the same amount of money to get it done. I hate when the windscreen is short and very close to my face, like in a Superb or Passat or even a BMW 3 Series. Can't think of the one that's where it's far away, to be honest with you. David Maroney had a fleet of Insignias at work, all blue diesel pumps multiple times. You see, there's the stories coming in now about the Insignia. Andy McAfee is late. You need a note from your parents to tell me why you're late. Yes, I have a new room. I have a new Sunday service area with my little shelf in the background with all our cameras and things on it. Reggie's now frantically looking out the window at his car, make sure it's not on fire, but we're okay. Main problem is the Bosch diesel pump. You'll know it's starting to go. You will get a smell of diesel in the cabin. God, that's not good. The smell of diesel in the cabin is never a good thing. Apart from Bosch again, Bosch have a long history making parts for cars, don't they? And doing things that don't work very well. What do you think of the new 2019 Honda CR-V? One factor is no longer built in the UK anymore. Instead, it's imported to Europe from Japan. Honda have never really invested a lot of money in creating cars in Europe. They tend to create the car outside of Europe. They don't even tend to really make European cars. They just happen to have part of the market here. It's a bit odd really how to do it, but new CR-V looks okay. Honda's very hit and miss with me, to be honest with you. Sometimes it's very good. I love the Honda Civic Saloon. I had one a couple of weeks ago. Really, really pleasant to look at. Amazingly different from the hatchback, which looks terrible. I think the hatchback looks weird, very challenging, very hard to look at. I can't imagine me looking out the window at the hatchback going, I want to drive that. The Saloon, however, looks really good, but drives really sedately. So there's a problem straight off. It drives like an old man's car. No encouragement to drive quickly or briskly or even a hard drive through a corner or something. Just no encouragement whatsoever to do that. So Honda's on a very funny sort of ground with me when it comes to that sort of stuff. Reggie's only has his Insignia for 4 days and he's scared shitless now about diesel pump going outside. Was there any other issues with them? I didn't know the diesel pump was an issue with them, but then if a fleet manager's telling you there's a problem with the diesel pump, and you know there's a problem, there's definitely a problem. Mike Barr says, why can Opel not make a decent car? After over 150 years manufacturing, they still can't make an engine that won't blow a gasket or electrical system that can't cope for 6 years. You're right, Mike. Do you know that? You really are. A lot of that I would have forgiven over the years because of funding. Opel was desperately running out of money consistently every single year. They made nothing profit-wise. They made miserable amounts of profit. Nobody wanted to take money out of them. They drove it so far into the ground that PSA, Peugeot Citroën Alliance, bought them out. Peugeot smartly marched in, took all of their good stuff and put it into their own cars, and have given Opel largely nothing in return other than the security of continuing on with the jobs. So 150 years later, Opel is now owned. Opel, a German company, is now owned by a French company. But they still have this massive struggle between Opel and Vauxhall. Vauxhall being an English version of the company. Actually, the same company run from the same offices, but there is a Vauxhall UK that don't want to be part of Opel. And it causes problems on specs, on emissions, on engines, on all kinds of things. This dual market, and yet Vauxhall sell a lot of cars in the UK. So the problem that they have consistently has been internal for Opel, Vauxhall, GM, whatever company owns them next, Holden out in Australia. they had this naming structure issue, this problem all the way, and it caused problems so badly that they sold the company to PSA. I can't see Opel really returning to profit next 3-4 years, maybe even 5 years. I can't see them producing anything really unique, something really different, because right now they're just producing the leftovers from Peugeot. That's really all, and it's very difficult for them to do business. It's even more difficult in Ireland for them to do business, because Opel is running a very, very small shoestring here in this country. So it's a difficult one to understand. But once you get your head around the idea that Opel is not Opel, it's Vauxhall. It's not Vauxhall either, really. It's PSA, and you've got this mismatch of systems that don't seem to work out for them at all. We had our annual Woodward Dream Cruise here last week, a one-day event. Over 1 million people and over 25,000 classic custom cars. All car lovers should add it to their bucket list. That sounds ideal. Woodward Dream Cruise. We should be looking up, put that in a diary for next year somewhere. Somebody do a Google search and put a link in the thing, and we see if we can find out what that is, because that sounds like good crack to go along to. There's a whole other conversation happening here between two other people. This is the part of the community that I love. This part that George Falls was part of course, who had many an argument with other users here on YouTube and with me over liking and disliking Italian cars, or liking and disliking any car for that matter. It's that community feel that works out here incredibly well, and being part of the community is part. I try and serve the community as much as I can, so it's to that end that I try to continually monitor who's here, who's not here, the regular faces, the new faces that turn up as well, the people I meet in the street who never comment. They don't even log in. They just watch the stuff, and then they meet me in the street and go, "Watch your Sunday service." It's deadly. I met a man out running the other morning. He stopped me, and he literally pulled out the headphones out of his pocket, out of his head, pulled out the part and played my podcast, the Sunday Service podcast, on his phone is what he was listening to. So if you're listening to this on the rewind, or you're listening to this on a recorded thing and it's days afterwards, thank you very much for downloading the Sunday Service on your little podcast. I am a one-man operation still. It's just me. It's not a great big office of people here. There's not 4 or 5 of us or anything here working at this. It's just me. So I make the videos, I do the editing, I do the filming, I make the podcast. I do all the stuff that makes it work. I'd very much like to expand, but you know that costs a lot of money, because I always want to pay wages and contracts and all that sort of stuff. But hopefully this year things are looking up as well. There's a lot more work coming in, a lot more business coming in outside of this, which is delaying some of the videos, but we'll get there. The videos will keep on trucking out every single week. I'm going to Romania now for 3 days, was the next part, to drive Mazdas and to not get bitten by vampires. I'm going to bring some garlic or something on the plane, but that should be a bit of a laugh. This down to Transylvania, the Carpathian Mountains we're going to for a bit of a spin, some MX-5s. I have no idea what to do after that. I don't know. But that should be good crack. That would have been something that George would have given me grief for. But the community here is the most important part to us. If you can support this channel to keep that community growing, or share this message out, or share out what this channel does and how we do it, it'd be absolutely brilliant. You don't have to know anything about cars to be part of this community, by the way. Come here and give me your most dumb question. If you think it's stupid, I want to know it, because there's no such thing as a stupid question. I should have mentioned Woodward is in Michigan, north of Detroit. We should all, I think it would be good crack if we all went over to Detroit next year, or Michigan next year, and took part in that thing. Jaguar I-Pace is made by Magna in Austria. Brexit is really bad thing for the UK car production. On average, less than 25% of the input parts are from the UK, which causes rules of origin issues. That's only going to get worse. I am terribly sorry to inform anyone from the UK who is working currently in a business that imports products for manufacturing. It's only going to get worse. In any free trade agreement hypothetically reached, it would be difficult to add cars, because it would be hard to demonstrate that the UK is not a proxy in a trade agreement for origin countries of parts. Correct. To put that into sort of simple terms, you produce a car, and the car is built in the UK, but it's actually full of thousands of parts that have nothing at all to do with the UK. They're made somewhere else and brought into the UK and then assembled into one unit. cars are relatively unique in that sense. Like if you take a phone is made by Samsung, it's made in Japan, or it's made in China, or it's made somewhere, and it's full of parts that's generally kind of made by that company or made by companies that supply them, but they're all kind of in the same country. Whereas that all fell down over there. Whereas the car companies, bits are made all over the world. Even stuff is made right here in Ireland. Stuff made in Galway. There's stuff made in Tuam for cars, dashboards, some electronics, some bits that are made right here in Ireland that are exported out to the UK to be assembled into all kinds of cars over there. And the same applies for Europe, are making thousands of parts. Bosch is a German company. Bosch supply every car in the world with parts. So it's very difficult in this proxy sense or Brexit sense to not see how dumb the whole thing is. Someone's got to just go, hang on a second, I think none of this is going to work, and you're all in trouble. Reggie's getting, by the moment, Reggie is getting more and more nervous about his insignia just blowing up outside. Hope I didn't buy a lemon. It's a nice car, apart from the economic, and still nervous. Everybody has those nerves that go through them when you actually sign a dotted line or hand over the cash or write a check or do it. Everybody gets that nervous moment, like, oh my god, what am I doing buying this thousands of euro of a car that can break in a minute? Don't be too nervous. I would look, something happens and you can fix it. That's usually what it comes down to. Usually that won't cost you the earth to fix, but it will cost you some money. That's the horrible part of owning a car, using a car, running a car. That's the difficult part. It doesn't ever really appreciate in value until it's very old. Another thing I want to introduce you to as well, chod. Has anybody ever heard of chod? I don't know where this started, but a chod car is a car that was deeply uncool when it came out. Maybe it was crap when it came out, but it has managed to survive and it's still going, and now it's starting to look okay. And a good example of chod would be an early Renault Laguna. You know, it wasn't a great car when it came out. It was kind of a weird thing, and now it's kind of gotten better over the years. So as chod goes, it's not that bad. Something like a Mark 1 Skoda Octavia, or you know, something early Vauxhall Vectra, for instance, the last of the Vauxhall Vectras, that'd be good chod at the moment. If you spot a chod, I want it. Will you text me? You can get me on Twitter, obviously, right, or on Instagram, but tag me. And if you use it, if you want to do it down below in the comments, you want to ask a question in the comments down below, use the hashtag Sunday Service. Okay, hashtag Sunday Service on everything, and I will check that hashtag in a week's time, and we'll get the messages for next week, which would be deadly. That'd be really good, because we're back to normal now. We're going to be back to normal now because the kids are going back to school. My kids are back on Wednesday, I think. Some of the kids are back tomorrow. Some of them are back on the Friday. So all this coming week will be kids going back to school. So the Sunday service will return as normal from now on, and we'll keep on trucking forward as we do. But if you use the hashtag Sunday service down below, I will make sure that we check the hashtag next week, because YouTube allow me to do this with the hashtag thing. And hashtag that anywhere now. Do the same thing on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook or whatever it is. Hashtag Sunday Service, and I'm going to check on that hashtag and see what kind of questions you're asking and what you're linking to or what you're doing. But if you hashtag it that way, it works out nicely. That was that part. That's for the chod part as well, so don't forget that. That's the next thing. Oh my god, millions of questions are coming there. When will you create a separate YouTube channel? I will create a separate one when I have, first of all, enough time, but secondly, a different kind of thing to do. So I thought of doing something more like a vlog or more like a conversation with you guys, where you'd ask questions and put out the videos, and the videos would not be live, so there'd be questions where I get a chance to actually research the answers or do whatever it is and criticize parts of the car company maybe. But I'm so heavily associated with cars, it's very hard to separate it out. So that's why I put out the bicycle video a couple of weeks back. If you haven't seen it, it's the Orbega bike, electric bike, that I did a review of. So I put it out on this channel rather than create a different channel for it. It just seemed like the right thing to do, as part of transport. And now I'm getting requests to review the Skoda bike that I have. I have a Skoda carbon fiber bike downstairs that I'm training on again. So there's a lot of requests coming in to do more of that kind of thing. So I don't know if I need another channel, or indeed do I want another channel. Which is the other part. I do keep a tiny channel that I use to just to dump some Instagram stories on, called Bob Daily. I do that. It doesn't have any subscribers, I don't think. They're vertical videos that look rotten, but I just want a place where they don't disappear, so I can throw them onto and remember them later. So that's a YouTube channel that's already created. It's the second one belonged to me. Opel are working on production. Did I miss a question there? I'm terribly sorry if I have. Hold on. Oh, I did. Oh, back up. Oh my God, I missed millions of questions. How did that jump down so far? Here we go. Mo Carey, what do you think of the new 2019 Toyota Auris Corolla? There'll be no diesels. Good news. Yep, that is good news. For Toyota, it's good news because they don't have to make a diesel engine. Think about that for a second. If you were spending £1 million a year developing diesel engines, and then suddenly you make a decision to not develop any more diesel engines, just going to stop doing it, that saves you £1 million a year instantly. And all you got to do is convince everybody that diesel is bad now. But if you actually talk to Toyota, they do develop a diesel engine. It's in their vans. But Toyota Auris, good cars, reliable cars, solid car. I've owned in the past 2 Corollas, both of them saloon, both of them 88, 89 ones. They were old ones now. And I loved them dearly. They were fast. They were great engines. 1.3 litre petrols. They were deadly looking yokes. They weighed nothing, and I enjoyed them greatly. So I've always been a Toyota fan. I've actually owned 3 or 4 Toyotas in my life, I think. Maybe more, actually. Bob, do you think that the Kodiaq and Karoq will sell well as company cars, sales reps in Europe? Depends on the company. Some companies won't want. Some companies want to do estates. They like their kind of fleet feel. They get estates. They get saloons. They get. They don't really do the hatchback thing. They don't want to move into that SUV point. Plus, there is a massive waiting list still for Kodiaq and Karoq. Both of them are kind of sold out. They'll make more, but how much more they're going to make. So whether fleet managers will be looking at those kind of things going, you know, I can't afford to wait. I want to pre-purchase my stuff for 2019. I'm not interested in waiting for this stuff around. I want 100 cars. That's the end of it. That's where a fleet manager comes into it. As for fleets goes, it'd be lovely to see that kind of thing in the road. I mean, the Kodiaq, particularly the Karoq, would probably make a very good, if it was branded up, a very pretty looking car. So that would be quite nice. But yeah, you could try it out as a company car, but I just can't see a lot of companies looking to divest their sales or their purchases from the estate, multifunctional estate and hatchback into kind of soft crossover vibed things. Where are we? Mo Carey, Toyota has axed the Avensis and now replaced the new Camry saloon. Yeah, we'll see what the Camry saloon looks like. Don't get too excited about Camry. That isn't necessarily going to be the Camry that you all get excited about. Looks nice, I have to say, it looks nice. Good to see a return of any brand, but generally so far any car that was scrapped years ago and has come back in the last few years has been a bit wishy-washy. So yeah, I would stay away from that sort of stuff. Whether you can or can't get it in Ireland, the Camry, because it's going to be an oddball car to have, but it has replaced the Avensis. We'll see if Avensis come back again. It's a good one to do. John Coleman, good to have you on. That's John Coleman from Clearwater.ie, in case you're wondering who that is. Hi Bob, where do you get the NOCO Genius Boost HD GB 200 in Ireland, Amazon and Apple? Oh, that's that yoke. This thing. Who sent me this? An American company sent me this yoke, and it came through the post from America. No, I tell you what the problem is. This only happened in the last 6 or 8 months, maybe 12 months. Amazon will no longer post something that has a battery in it to Ireland, right? Anything with a battery in it. It always says no delivery to Ireland, right? Now, you can circumvent that no delivery thing to Ireland by using something like Parcel Post or what's that other one called? The one that's in Northern Ireland. It gives you a Northern Ireland address to deliver it to. You just put in that address and it delivers it to there, and then they deliver it to you. So you can get around the delivery. Amazon won't post direct to Ireland, but they will post to the UK. So that's the only way I know to get around it. Importing it from the US is going to end up with a huge big tax bill. I got that thing 2 years ago. There's nothing actually in that box. The device was won out by by a person here on the Sunday service, but we had to strip it down and I had to deliver to him in the end. But I got that from the company who was trying to sell them on Amazon a couple of years back, and they wanted me to test it, and I gave it a shot. It works fine. It's great. As a jump starter, it's absolutely brilliant joke, and you can throw it in the boot of your car and leave it there forever. But it does discharge over time, and the good part was it has a torch on it, which was the nice part. But it does actually discharge. You do have to keep it topped up every once in a while. It would be good for a camper van. Be good for emergency situations. Got USB ports as well, so it's a giant USB charger as well, which is quite good, but it's quite heavy. But an interesting, but the only way I know to get around that is to use something like what's it called? Parcel something or other. Anyway, whatever. Someone in the comments will come up with the couple of names that we have here in Ireland. You get it delivered to a crowd in Northern Ireland, and they deliver it down to post box here in Portlaoise or wherever you are. That's the only way I know to get it over. If it has a battery, doesn't matter if it's a torch, anything. If it has a battery in it, they don't want to deliver anymore. TS says, hi Bob, Discoveries are moving away from Solihull, but they'll be building new electric models at that plant. That's good, as long as everyone's holding on to their job. We're all okay with that. I'd like to see these electric models actually hit the road. I mean, the Discovery is meant to be a long range, tough, hard wearing version of you know, the kind of Range Rover Vogues and stuff that are out there. Discovery has always been in the middle of it, so electric ones, we see what comes out of that. But it's good to know that they're going to keep going in Solihull. Hopefully Solihull plant will expand this year. I was talking to a mate of mine who is in the management in Solihull, and he said there's rumours of expansion in Solihull, of making more jobs there, so that'd be really good. But unfortunately with Brexit, they don't know what they're going to do. It's very hard to get investment for them. Andy says, be interested to see the first of all new ground-up Vauxhall Opel model under PSA. They have experience and track record and innovation, both good and bad. PSA also have the money, although they were bailed out by the French government. So PSA, or Peugeot, was bailed out, I think, on 2 occasions by the French government during the last 10 years. So they've really run aground as well. Now, there's a lot of debate over how Peugeot and Citroën Alliance got enough money together to buy Opel, right? So they were bailed out by the French government and then they bought another car company. So it'll work out for them, I hope. But like, there's thousands of jobs there. Thousands of jobs. I think there's 20,000 people working for Peugeot now. There used to be nearly 40,000 people. Over the last 10 years, they've gotten rid of half their workforce, more or less. Most of the administration, I have to say, not all in development. We can't sustain that. It's not possible. Robotics are only playing a small part. I've been in multiple car factories. If you've never visited a car factory, you should reach out to some of the car factories out there in Europe and ask, can you do a tourist visit, because they're certainly open for it. You have to give away your phone or get it covered up and all that crap. But generally speaking, it's really interesting to watch it. There is a lot of humans involved in making a car. A lot. You might think it's all put together by a computer, but actually it's a human that checks every single thing on a car, and that's not really changing in the near future. So hopefully under PSA, Opel Vauxhall will continue to grow and make a useful progress at the moment. But right now, this minute, they seem to be stalled. They seem to be just kind of stuck, pushing out numbers, and it just doesn't make a lot of sense what they're trying to do. Mike Burke says, I can't believe that Skoda would make a car that doesn't give the option of being able to fit a tow bar, especially a 4x4. Kodiaq would have been perfect for the family caravan market. It doesn't have a tow bar? I thought the Kodiaq did have an option of a tow bar. I definitely had a Kodiaq here with a tow bar on it, an electric one. Press the thing and it comes up from the back, I think. I don't know, there's so many cars, I forget. I forget. My God, that's terrible to think of. I can't remember the last time. I can't remember if it had one or not. I think it did. Opel are working on a production electric crossover based on the GTX concept, but it's early days yet, maybe 2021. Yeah, we'll see where Opel go with that one. Hopefully they'll do something interesting. But working on a concept or giving you concept photographs is so easy these days. And I know that, I'm sorry if you work in a car company or you're part of a car company or you're definitely a designer, but actually sketching out stuff on a bit of paper is dead and gone now. It's all on computer screens. They can make changes very quickly and show you concepts and show you different looks and different vibes and different feels in a few minutes on a computer screen. I mean, look at What Car or what do you call those guys in the UK? A magazine in the UK that every once in a while throws up a concept. We've seen the new version of whatever it is, and they just dickied it up themselves in Photoshop. So it's definitely there. But we'll see if the GTX concept actually makes some sort of impact and is more than just a plastic thing or a wax mold or something. You know, let's make it something useful. Why is it that over the last 20 years cars have gotten faster and faster, but the fuel economy increase hasn't increased at nearly the same rate? That you know what? That could be a simple question, but it could also be the most complex question you've ever asked. So aerodynamics, right? We have to think about aerodynamics when you think about the speed of a car. The relation of a car hitting the wind increases exponentially once you cross a certain barrier. Those barriers tend to be up around the 100-mile-an-hour mark. So once you reach 160 kilometers per hour, the way the air passes around the car often changes. The smaller the car, the worse that happens. The bigger, longer cars tend to do it a little bit better. Hence why the fastest cars in the world don't look like cars. They have 4 wheels on them for sure, but they look more like an arrow, right, than a car. Look at the Bugatti Veyron or any of these high-performance, high-powered cars. The engine's down the back, the force is going forward. But the amount of force that is required to make a car go beyond the 100-mile-an-hour mark is incredible. Now, fuel economy is different. Fuel economy is based on a number of factors. The first one being how hard the engine has to work when the car is moving. That's number 1. Number 2 is aerodynamics. Number 3 then is weight, the actual weight of the car. Weight is the enemy of everything to do with cars. So less weight is always better, no matter the circumstances. That's kind of a blanket thing that all car designers understand, that you must make it lighter if you want it to perform better in any aspect. So suspension, handling, speed, fuel economy, it's all to do with weight. But we want cars to get lighter and heavier and so on. Sorry, I'm being given a cup of coffee. My wife has arrived to give me a cup of coffee and a biscuit. This is deadly in the middle of a live stream. Thanks, missus. I just got a cup of coffee hand delivered by my wife in the middle of a live stream. What a wonderful day this has become. It's today Sunday. Sunday service is here. Brilliant. Where were we? Fuel economy never increases because there's only so much efficiencies you can get from an engine until you get to the point where the car has to be lighter, or it has to be smaller, or it has to be bigger or longer, or whatever it has to be. So there's so many things you can do, but an engine can only do so much. And when it comes to petrol engines, it burns the fuel, so it just has to burn it at a better rate. We have gotten better fuel economy, but at the same time now with WLTP, it's going to change everything. So the fuel economy is going to look for a while. Bob, Vauxhall dealerships have closed down all over the place in the UK. They don't make any standout cars anymore, just okay ones. I agree entirely, and there's so many different Vauxhall dealerships that would have been around for years. Vauxhall had a great longevity name, so Vauxhall was a very respected name in the UK, the survivor of everything. They survived everything. MG falling out, everything that ever happened in the UK was survived by Vauxhall. Now there's so much choice in the market. You've Hyundai and Kia that are really stirring things up, coming from Korea and making cars in Europe, but they're designing them right here in Europe. So there's a lot of stuff that's going on right now that's upsetting everything, and Vauxhall are losing ground and not doing it justice and anything useful. Johnny Be Good, looking to do a road trip around Southern Ireland next year, Bob. Any place you think worth visiting? Kilkenny for sure. You gotta see the castle. There's a great pub right across the road, well, kind of across the road from the castle. Lovely place to come and hang out for sure. See Dublin. If you're coming to Dublin, come see the thing. Go to Dublin Castle, go to the President's House, go to kind of O'Connell Street or that sort of area, then get the hell out of it. You will do it all in one day. Dublin is a day thing. Don't hang about at night time. Don't go to the tourist pubs unless you really want to just walk in, take a photograph and walk back out again. Get out of Dublin. It's very expensive. It's ripping itself asunder. It's full of homeless people. It really is very poor experience, I think, for a lot of tourists if they get anywhere off the tourist trail. It's getting better, but it's still not up there. Worth to visit in Dublin if you're going there is Trinity College. It's definitely worth dropping into that place just to see it, just to see that a college can look like that in Ireland. Traditionally a Protestant college. Once upon a time Catholics weren't allowed to go into Trinity College. They weren't allowed to join it. Not so much anymore. UCD was the other one that Catholics went to, University College Dublin. But besides that, forgetting about Catholics, because the Pope is in Ireland, of course. All hail the guy in the skirt, the fella with the little hat on his head. But while you're in Ireland, go to Kilkenny, go around. If you can go to Cork, Cork is a lovely city to go to. If you can't, go to Limerick. Limerick is quite a nice city as well. It's really come on in the last few years, really grown up in a big fast way. They're not really southern, more western, towards the western coast. Go down through Wicklow, head to Greystones, go into the Happy Pear Cafe, worth visiting there as well. That's on the east coast, coming out of Dublin. Down to Wexford. Head to where Saving Private Ryan was filmed down there. You get all along the beaches all along down that way. It's a lovely place to go to and hang out as well. And then, of course, like I was saying, Kilkenny and Waterford, which is all on the south coast. Really, really nice areas to go to. If you get over here, give us a shout. Just, you know, hit me up here on Twitter or something and tell me where you're going to be, and we'll see if we can meet up while you're here. Sure, why not? We'll have a lovely little meeting. Automotor says, Bob, when will you come to Romania and where? I'm from Bucharest. If you have time, can I show you a city and meet for a beer? I would absolutely love that, but I'm not coming to Bucharest. I'm going to... hold on. What's that place called? I have to figure where it is. I need me tickets. Travel Lufthansa. No, not Lufthansa. Who am I traveling with? I'm going to my super duper wallet from Apple. Here we are. I'm going to Munich tomorrow, and then I'm going on to SBZ. Where's that? Sibin, S-I-B-I-N, I think it's pronounced. That's where I'm actually going or that's where I'm landing anyway, which isn't near Bucharest as far as I know. The Carpathian Mountains between Bucharest and there, and I'm doing a circuit around the Transflagarian Highway on Tuesday, and then I fly back out on Wednesday. And back to Munich and back home again. So I don't think I'll get to Bucharest. I would love to, absolutely. I'll be open for that anytime. If you're ever over here, I'd certainly be in for it. Meet up for a beer and go and show me your whole city and your motors. There's a coffee my wife made for me. I brought it up and gave it to me. Isn't that good? Anyway, Brian Cullen says, Hi Bob, to calm Reggie's nerves, poor old Reggie's outside already looking under his bonnet, in the interest of balance, in the recent and very respected JD Power survey, the Vauxhall Insignia won most reliable medium-sized car. I have a 2012 one and it's fine. Now, Reggie, now come up from that. Now, there you go. Brian Cullen says, most reliable medium-sized car by JD Power survey. He has a 2012 and it's all good. Andy McAfee says, second channel name idea, Bob's Monday service. Bob's scratching service. No, Bob's daily service. I could certainly do it. I could certainly create another channel. The problem is the way YouTube works in their algorithm these days. It's so hard to get something moving. It's very hard to get subscribers. I'm on a Facebook page for YouTubers. It's a closed thing. It's all right, but generally speaking, I'm looking at these people. There's a couple of hundred members, all of them from Ireland. And I'm looking at their subscriber base, and it's great to celebrate. But when you've got like 59 subscribers and you're actually been doing it for 12 months, that's hard work. Like, that's just hard work. That's a lot of work and nothing. My idea is to always get I want people just to watch them. I don't really care. You get nothing, largely next to nothing these days from monetization on YouTube. The ad system is useless these days. It really is. I had a growth of... I didn't have a growth. My channel grew in the last couple of months by something like 15 or 16%. But my monetization went down by 8 or 9%. So I don't understand how you can grow the channel but the monetization goes down. It just seems really annoying in that respect. And so I hate to sit here asking you lads for money, but that's the easiest way out of it. It's the easy way to get around what YouTube are trying to do all the time, is so it can be supported elsewhere. So you end up with a different sort of an aspect. But I'm happy if people watch the bloody things and don't have an ad blocker on, because I want YouTube to pay. They should pay. Of course they should. I'm providing them with a service. It's on their channel. But it's scary when you know that YouTube can just turn you off, and that's this kind of stealth ban you or shadow ban you is what I'd call it, where they just don't present your channel to as many people, and that's just the way they are sometimes. We are 1 hour in and I've only mentioned PayPal, Patreon once. Everything today will go to George Fall, something I can sponsor as a charity for George Falls. Gordon Falls is his proper name. If you're around tomorrow and you're just joining us right now, you can go to Mount Jerome Crematorium at 3 p.m. in Dublin. George's I can't be there. I'll be in Romania at that stage. But tomorrow at 3 p.m. that's where memorial is being held for George. If you can bring an Italian car, it'd be really good with the Italian Car Club. that he was a member of will be coming along to do a guard of honour on that day, so it'd be great if you could go along to it. It is an open invitation. They are meeting afterwards in the Ardatin Inn. I never heard of it, but it's near the place, so drop in there if you can. Meet some of the guys. Some of the people who are here today or have been on the Sunday service before will be there in real life. I know a lot of you guys don't like meeting people in real life, but it's okay, I don't mind. On your separate channel, will you do content besides cars? Yes, I would rather do another channel about something totally different, something completely different. I'd love to do educational yokes. I get asked so many things. A lot of young guys come on because they see an older guy doing something that young guys tend to do, like YouTube, and they ask questions like, how do you shave, or how do you service a car, how do you fix a bike, how do you run for like this morning I ran for 13 or 14 kilometers and I'm here doing this. It's not that hard. How do you get fit after 40? How do you get fit when you're really fat, or when you really want to lose weight? How do you do it? There's so many things that you could do, but just not on this channel. It wouldn't work here at all. So I'd love to do something fitness wise on another channel, something to do with cycling and running and stuff like that. It'd be really good. My wife also brought me digestive biscuits. I mean, like a digestive biscuit. I love digestive biscuits because they're so plain, and a good one. These are really plain ones, but really good ones should be like crunchy and stay crunchy forever, especially when you dip them in a little bit of coffee and eat them. This isn't going to make great TV now for next little bit. Good job it's not TV then. Right. Jim Smith doesn't have a question. He's just enjoying the chat. Well, that's what you're here for. That's why people listen on the Sunday Service podcast, which you can get as well. It's on iTunes. It's on something else as well. It's on many places. I can't remember where else it is. It's in loads of places. So what I do is strip the audio off this, and I upload that as a podcast elsewhere. I get a lot of people who are on. I get emails and texts and things from people who are on public service, sort of on a train or on a Lewis or whatever, and ask a question in the middle of it. It's funny. Brian Culler reckons maybe Father Bob can have an annual gathering of the faithful at the monument in the Phoenix Park. Ticketed only, of course. Oh, that would be funny. Wouldn't it be good crack? Do it when I get back from Romania. Just have a ticketed event in the Phoenix Park. Me and 2 other people turn up. Tell you what we should do though is actually have a Sunday service meeting of the Irish Brigade of the Sunday service. Bring what you drive, sort of a day, cars and coffee on a Sunday, and we'll just do our own meeting somewhere, and just have a live Sunday service at that. That'd be good crack, wouldn't it? We could do something on Ticketmaster, or not Ticketmaster, what do you call that thing? Eventbrite. We do Eventbrite for that, so we just see how many people are coming. Leave that with me. An experience of MG. Do they sell it in Ireland at all? The current new MG in England built their flat pack from China, and they're fairly ropey. I've driven a couple of them. Yeah, I've driven a couple of newer ones. Just while I was in the UK, you kind of get to know some of the journalists over there, and then like, do you want to try them? But while I'm over there, a bit of crack. They're on the right track. Another few years, they might actually make a car that people would desire again. But it's a bit of a struggle. MG is a tough sell. It's hard to make ground with an MG when you got a history like MG has. So it's pretty hard to do. Parcel Motel is absolutely spot on there. Cyril, here we go. Alter Ego. Sir Alter Ego. There we go. Parcel Motel is what you can possibly move one of these things, one of these jump starter things, from Amazon, because it delivers to Northern Ireland rather than delivering to Ireland. So anything with a battery, that is. The issue with Amazon delivery is a restriction of the couriers. They can and do ship stuff, but they have quotas. Parcel Motel often is subject to the same restrictions. Parcel Wizard, there's another one there Jack Nestor recommends. Reggie's gone out to just where did Reggie gone, says Brian Cullen. Reggie's gone out to just check, make sure his car's not burning down at the moment. I'm sure you'll be back very soon. I know there is problems with moving car batteries and truck batteries and stuff in the post. We always had a problem with that because it's a liquid battery, but it just always seems to be a bit of a problem with Amazon. Might have been mentioned before I arrived. Thoughts on a Pope being driven around a Skoda Rapid. Skoda fine, but why not a nice big spacious superb in that convoy of Merc and BMW escort vehicles? Oh yeah, well, you know, the Pope wants to appear as if he's one of the boys, one of the nice people, so a Skoda Rapid kind of suits that. I do hope this doesn't backfire on Skoda. I really do, because going all in as they've done on the Pope puts them in the limelight for it, for sure. The brand name gets out there, you know, the marketing message gets out there, and that's pretty good. But you know, the topics being discovered and being discussed by what's around the Pope doesn't necessarily work well for a car company. I mean, child abuse and things is not something that a car company wants to be associated with, and it's not something the Pope wants to be associated with. So there is issues with that, but it's this idea that he's meant to go around, you know, in something that's more appropriate for the Pope to be in, which is fine. I think these people need to just vanish into the background. The Catholic Church has ruined Ireland. I'm not going to go down that route. I get really angry when I think about what the Catholic Church has done to this country and what the Catholic Church still does to this country. But they're losing their grip, and hopefully it'll be gone forever from this country. All religions, not just Catholic religions, all of them can go and kiss my hairy hole. He's trying to be modest, says Brian Cunningham. Dead right. That's it. Simple living, setting an example and all that has always gone around in small cars. Private jet, a gigantic castle to live in, his own private quarters, you know, in his own accountant team. He's got every possible convenience on earth, including a team of accountants that make sure that the richest country in the world continues to be the richest country in the world by investing money very carefully in the right thing at the right time. It's called hedge funding, and of course the Vatican would know nothing about hedge funds. Anyway, simple living, yes, of course. His Holy Father is very simple. I've seen an early development mule for a small Opel electric crossover in person. Do something, so something is definitely coming, provided they get the money to do it. That's, yeah, I'd love to see it coming. I know the one you're talking about. I saw a sort of disguised joke of it a while back. It looks great, it looks deadly, but we'll see what actually comes out of that. Development is generally, if you're seeing development mules on a road and it's the actual one and they're all disguised up, you're still maybe up to 12 months away from an actual car being put out. They are a weird company, but if they get it right, they should get the right thing. Which biscuit is supplied in the Flavin household? We usually supply whatever biscuits we can, but I'd taken a liking to the little digestive biscuits. Just a nice standard plain old. Have you ever? Here's an Irish. Is this an Irish thing? Here's something controversial. This is really controversial. Have you ever put butter on a digestive biscuit? Now, come up for air now, boys. Butter, lightly butter a digestive biscuit and try it. You'll never look back. I swear to God, you're gone, right? Forget it. And another thing you can do as well, this is the thing for fitness, right? If you want to be really filthy but really as healthy as you can be, you get a digestive biscuit, put peanut butter on it, a bit of banana and honey. Tea with one sugar, says Miss Flavin, says Brian Cullen. I'm sure she'll make tea for you. I don't know if we have any sugar. We don't take sugar. We don't take sugar in the house. We don't drink fizzy drinks and we don't take sugar. We never have. So it's not like Cebu, that's the place. Sibiu, that's the place. Automotive, you're dead on. That's where I'm landing tomorrow. I'm flying into Sibiu, and then I don't know what I'm doing after that. Mazda's in charge after that part. Hi Bob, like the look of the all new 2019 Skoda Octavia. Do you have any release dates yet? No, and I have not booked in for an international trip even yet, which is very unusual because normally Skoda tend to book these things like months in advance. Octavia is very important to them as well. It largely makes up the majority of their sales worldwide up until the Kodiaq landed and the Karoq, which they're hoping are going to kind of alleviate the pressure of the Octavia, but you are kind of pilfering one from the other. So Octavia should, generally speaking, what Skoda tend to do is launch the car in the first borderline second quarter of the year for the end of the year sales. So they tend to do it in like March, April, and hope that they're going to get into the 2019 second half sales of the year. That's generally what to do rather than launch in 2018. It's getting pretty late in the season for launches now. They do tend to fly us out very quickly down to places for a day like the Barcelona or somewhere, at this time of the year for something, but it's usually urgent. On the very last bit, it's usually urgent trying to get there. Sorry, Auto Motors. If I was going to Bucharest, I certainly would have dropped in on you. No problem whatsoever. I've no problem with that. It's always a bit of crack. But I'm going into the Sibiu tomorrow in Romania. Johnny B. Good says he's from Dublin, but parents moved over to the UK in the 80s, so seen enough Dublin, and I hate what they've done near the docks. I've not seen much of the rest of Ireland. Definitely get everybody. The best advice I can give anyone is if you're going for a weekend and you're going to spend a Friday night and a Saturday night and going home on a Sunday, then Dublin probably suits your needs. You're going to see the majority of everything you want to see in Dublin. You'll get an experience of Irish people, but Dublin people are not like country people, and no matter what way I put that, there's no good way of not insulting you, Dublin people. I'm not trying to insult you, but we are very different. Dublin people have a very unique way of going on versus the country people. Cork people are very unique to themselves as well, and so are Limerick people. City people tend to be very different from country people. So when you get down to Kilkenny, you'll find it's very relaxed, very chilled out, very very ordinary to some degree. But they have lovely castles and places to hang out and stuff down around there. It's gorgeous. Waterford is lovely. People are so friendly in Waterford. Wexford is gorgeous as well. Tends to get a lot of tourists, so you meet a lot of Dublin people in Wexford because that's where they go on holidays. But it's a bit of fun outside of Dublin. I just recommend people, if you've seen Dublin or you've visited Ireland, please don't judge the rest of Ireland on just visiting Dublin. It is a very different aspect of things as well, so just bear that in mind. And Belfast is definitely not Ireland. If you visit Belfast, you haven't visited Ireland at all. It's a totally different place. I've been there many times. It's gorgeous. People are lovely, very safe, very nice most of the time. It's very ordinary, but it's definitely not the same as the rest of Ireland. The Saint ST1 says, hi Bob, have you seen Hubnuts channel? For those who like much older, more mundane or quirky stuff. I have not. Is this an Irish channel, or is this just an Irish? There's so many car channels these days, and the majority aren't reviewing new cars. The majority are kind of looking at older generation things as well, which is quite interesting in its own way. But it's just, I have so many bloody cars that it's impossible to do them all. I mean, like millions of them. And do kind of older stuff. Anyway, Sibiu is nice, and Transfigurion is also well known since old Top Gear was there. Good luck at the Mazda event. Thank you very much. I'll do, if you follow me on Instagram, I'm going to do Instagram stories throughout the 3 days in Romania. I have great knowledge about Romania. The big thing is I cannot bring my drone to Romania. That is a definite no-no. You require a permit just to take off in Romania. They can take it off you, and the fine can be quite large. They can be arrested for flying a drone at all without permits and things, and it's too late to try and get a permit. I did apply for one. It's €90, but I still haven't heard back from the CSR or something they're called to say whether I have permit or not. So I'm just not going to bring it because it'd probably be taken off me in a bleeding airport anyway. So I'll leave it at home this time, but I have secured some drone footage, so don't worry, I'm okay with that. Brian Cullen, the Ardatton Inn in Carlow. That's what I'm listed here, the Ardatton Inn. Yeah, I assume that is Carlow then, Brian. That should be, it's a very unusual name, so I imagine it's the only one. George Falls lived in Carlow. That's why I know he lived down that direction. I met him down there before. Digestives, McVitie's or Go Home. Don't think they are. I think they're Boland's. I think they're actually Boland's one. They were €1 in Tesco yesterday. Just picked them up out of nowhere, and they're quite nice. I just can't eat one now because they're so hard to. It's not great TV. Me sitting here chewing like a bleeding horse. Richard, where did I say it? Richard Fitton Perkins says, looking up the chat list, do you own any super cheap cars like Hubnut, Bob? I don't. I own a Seat Leon, a 2006 Seat Leon. So it's an old, it's cheap. I suppose that's cheap, as cheap as it gets. I don't do the kind of buying cars all that much. Just I could never decide. I'm terrible at deciding these sort of things. I think you either exist in that realm of buying things and doing them up and fixing them up or whatever, moving them on, or you don't. But I must check out this Hubnut when I'm finished. As soon as this is over, I'll have a look at Hubnut and see what I can find there. Nice cup from IKEA. That is from IKEA, I think. I think that is from IKEA. Yeah. We bought a few things. Lots of the stuff I have here in this house is from IKEA. They're terrible, aren't they? IKEA is so desirable. That's from IKEA as well. I meant at the paper cross, not the monument. Would be more fitting. Yes, I could stand there. I could put a little hat on or something and bless you all for the Sunday service. The amount of people that email me after the Sunday service and tell me, I thought it was a service like we come and do mass. And you go, no, mass on YouTube. No, I don't think so. All religions can kiss my hairy hole, and that's the comment of the week, said Bob. There you go, Darren. That's exactly the way it is. Any organised, I don't care if you believe in God or not. That's your decision. Absolutely fine by me if you want to believe in that and you want to believe that some superior being put us all here or does something for us or whatever it is. That's great. But generally speaking, organised religion, once it becomes organised by men or women, is where it all goes wrong. That's where it all turns to. And the way that women, particularly women, have been treated by the Catholic Church in this country is disgraceful. I mean, it's a shameful thing. And this man turns up in a dress and waves his hand like some kind of royalty, and tells everybody how to live their life, and tells them not to use condoms, and tells them not to, get pregnant. 16 kids, women are just vessels. It's just. What? So, and that's organised religion. That has nothing at all to do with God. That is man. That is people, humans that make those decisions. A great picture was tweeted at me yesterday. Spot the Woman. I think it's from Philip Nolan actually. And it was just the Pope was standing there, and there was a group of people all standing around watching him, and I couldn't see a woman among them. There was a good 30 people in the picture. I didn't see any women there. So it's stupid thing. And religion is the cause of all problems usually. Anyway, butter and jam on a digestive, says Johnny B. Good. There you go. See, you can put jam on them and everything. They're just an amazing. They're like a little sandwich. You make a little sandwich. I have 2 biscuits. You can make a little sandwich out of them with the butter in the middle. Put them together. Now, having said that, I ran 13 kilometers this morning. That's like 1,000 calories, right? And I'll probably do a little bit more exercise, a bit of stretching, a bit of yoga, and a bit of standing on my head and things. I do that sort of stuff as well. So I'll probably burn another 500 calories. So I'm okay with doing butter on a digestive. It's not healthy though. It's not healthy. Butter on a digestive on the unbranded side, and sometimes some cheese. Oh, you're scratching on the right things now. Hovis do digestives in the shape of a loaf for cheese board use. Do they? It's getting bad now. We're going on a rabbit hole, boys. Let's do it. Let's go all the way down the rabbit hole and watch you put on a digestive biscuit. This gets better and better every week. Yeah, if you're going to butter the digestive, you don't butter this side. You butter this side. You never butter the branded bit. This bit. You butter this bit because it's got little grid in it, so it holds on. It's better. It's more effective. Okay. Lonti, what's Lonti? Filed planning permission for 6-head 350 kilowatt rapid charger sites in Cashel and Junction 14 Mayfield this Friday. 350 kilowatt, once the cars catch up, will give you 400 kilometers in 7 minutes, including ramp up down. Really? Junction 14. Yeah, well, the last time I was in Junction 14, they had one fast charger there for the Nissan, the Nissan one, and it wasn't working. So that'll be great. Cars are a religion of their own. Yeah, but we don't really cause any problems. We're usually nice people. We're not trying to keep women out of cars around. Just that's the way it kind of panned out in the end. Thinking about it, we'll all have to buy a car under £500, Hubnut style, and do a meetup. Baganomics says with 30k worth of cars on the drive. I like that thought. I tell you, see, the problem we have is NCT and insurance and things. That's the biggest problem. It's always the biggest problem. You'd have to get a car with an NCT on it, or in MOT in the UK versus that way. But NCT it is here, National Car Test. So I'd absolutely love a budget of 150 euro or 200 euro or something, and go right, buy a car. We're all going to meet up on Sunday and compare notes and see what turns up. Everybody turns up in a 98 Nissan Micra. Or something like that. That'd be good. I'd love to do the Bangonomics thing. I really would. But it's all down to budgeting. That's the part of all of this. Is it's impossible to keep the budget under control when it comes to cars. And most of the car lads out there who review cars are actually coming from little wealthy families, and they don't really need a job. They're usually young. They don't have mortgages. I have a mortgage. I have 2 kids. I have a house. I have things to do. So it's hard to keep it all going. But I do my best to keep it all going. But if you can assist in some way, you can do it by PayPal, which is, there's a link down below for PayPal. If you want to fund that sort of yoke, just go to paypal.com/Bob Flavin, I think it is, and give whatever you can, as little as you can, as big as you can. It'd be great. There is Patreon, which some of you are on Patreon already. Some of you very long term on Patreon have been there the whole time. You can go over there and give a little tiny bit a month if you want, or a little big amount a month, whatever you want. And of course, you can also, as a business, if you want to do a business thing here, you could sponsor this channel. So you can put your branding on this channel here as well, as long as you're not a car company. If I review your products, you can't sponsor this channel. But everybody else can. So if you're an insurance company, or like Clearwater.ie or MyDIY.ie in the past have all done these sort of things. If you're one of those kind of companies and you want to get a little bit of extra notice out your front door, you want some people to click a link or whatever it is, give us a buzz. Contact me in the usual ways. You have all my email address, bobflav@thenextgear.com. Anything you want to do or any questions you might have, don't expect an answer immediately, because my inbox broke the other day, the amount of questions I got. It would be interesting to do that, Richard. It would actually, to do a meetup, Bangernomics meetup, and bring your bits. Could be a good annual thing to do. We'd have to get rid of the cars the other end. The other problem, unless you're going to hold on to it, of course, but we'd have to get rid of the car. That'd be the problem. If everyone like the old car magazine, Edinburgh on a Monkey challenge, that'd be good crack. Start in Dublin, drive to Cork for €100. Now, does that include fuel and buying a car with an NCT, obviously? I don't think anything can make it, to be honest with you. Still drinking my wife's coffee. You've all stuck with me so long. It's been absolutely brilliant. My next thing up is I'm doing greenfeet.ie. So I'm working with a company. I do social media advice, consultation, I suppose you'd call it, or I start other people's YouTube channels or their Instagram account, or get them video work, or I do a lot of stuff around the back that has nothing at all to do with YouTube or cars, for that matter. So I'm working with a company called Greenfeet in the near future. I actually worked with another company called The Man Shop as well in Newbridge. Did some stuff for him. It was really good fun to do that last while, but there's so much of that going on right now, and I'm getting so many phone calls. I'm kind of turning away some of the work, but I'd certainly like anyone who's interested in getting a YouTube channel up and going would be really good. Collaborations I'm also after as well. If any other Irish YouTube channel wants to collaborate at some point, get in touch, because I'm looking to collaborate with other people as well. That's always nice. So if you know anybody out there who has a YouTube channel right now, it can be anything. I'm not really concerned what it is. I don't really care if it's a makeup channel or it's something else. We figure out something. It's always going to be a bit of fun, but they have to put in a bit of effort into it. You know, a bit of go in it. Always a good crack. Some of us have to do a ferry crossing for that one. Yeah, you would. Unfortunately, see, that's the problem. We're an island. All land that we buy any car place for a laugh. Lowest played price wins. We buy any car to drive up. How many lads? You want to buy a fleet of cars? Selling our charges and giving some, if any, profits to charity. Andy, that sounds like a good idea. Now, I like that. I like that, Richard. That is very good. Driving from one place to the other, and at the other end you sell the car and you give it all away to charity at the end. That'd be really cool. Maximum budget. We have to figure out a maximum budget for it. What's achievable? I mean, you're not going to get many cars in this country for less than, I mean, ones that actually run for less than 300 or 400 quid. So you'd have to have a little budget for buying something for 200 quid and putting 100 quid into a service or a set of brake pads or something, because you just don't know. A lot of these things will be wrecked, and it would have to have an NCT MOT to be on the road, and you have to have insurance and things. So it'd be all that as well. We might start off with just a meeting, just a meet thing. We just do a Sunday meet before the winter really sets in, so last one of the year, and everybody come to Portlaoise. Here is in the middle of the country for everybody. Northern Ireland, Southern Ireland, you could all get to Portlaoise on the motorways. So you could do something down in Midway here maybe, and all meet up here and just, you know, sort of a meet and greet things, and we do a Sunday service at that and see what everybody drives and what kind of cars you all have and what you're all into, and physically meet. I know some people would panic at the thought of physically actually meeting people, real people. I find it's a very unique new thing. It's a relatively new thing. You know, I see people coming in and they're coming to a restaurant or a pub or whatever, and the first thing that happens is this, and the phone goes up and it's like, oh, I'm not really here. I don't know who these people are. Stay away from me. That this barrier thing goes up between everybody. It's just kind of funny how many people, like hundreds of you, watch the videos. There's only a handful of you actually comment And I suppose I could count on one hand how many of you that I've actually met that comment as well. So it's kind of odd, but it's a new thing. It's a new item. People aren't sure how to talk to strangers anymore. They aren't sure how to meet strangers. And some of that's come from the news of being afraid of strangers, being afraid of meeting people. And that's scary to some degree, because I absolutely adore meeting people. I meet people all the time. I meet all sorts of people walk up to me and ask me car questions. The regular thing that happens usually is I'm standing bleeding Tesco's trying to figure out what digestive biscuits to buy, and somebody walks up beside me and goes, "So what do you think of Rover 100? Out of nowhere. It's not even like, "Hello, my name is Jimmy" or something. No, it's just like, "What do you think of the Rovers? What do you think of the MGs?" or something comes out. It's always fun. We're all talking about Hub Nuts still, so we have to give a shout out to Hub Nuts. Somebody leave a message on Hub Nuts York and said there's a live stream going on right now and everybody's talking about you. That'd be funny. Hopefully everything's okay. My live stream thing says all is well, I hope. We've been going for, what time is it now? Yeah, it is an hour and a half. We're doing well. It's 5:30 now. We're getting a lot of Instagram followers. Loads of people clicking out onto the Instagram thing. That's deadly. Follow away on Instagram. I regularly post there. I post some little videos there as well. Do all sorts of stuff. So if you want to follow me on other places, I am on Instagram. Quite active there. You see a lot of the stories there. And I do tweet sometimes. I'm not really that big about tweeting anymore. But some of the tweets are pretty good. And I also do Facebook. But I don't really do sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, but you could definitely follow me on Instagram. Is probably the best place to follow me for updates about what cars I'm driving, what I'm in, the stories of what I'm doing, running, cycling, all that sort of shit. In Ireland, the big issue is paying for insuring your cheap buy, and I have the additional issue that I don't drive anything not electric, so budget is an issue. That is true. That is the biggest problem in this country, is insurance, and then followed closely by tax, and then NCT is also the biggest problem. It's very expensive to drive in Ireland, I think. Individually, when you look at a car, it's not really, but it is very expensive in Ireland compared to some other countries. But it's also really safe to drive in Ireland. We've got some really crap drivers over here, but it's actually road collisions, deaths on the road aren't very high compared to other countries. Some of that's to do with the fact there isn't that many cars on the road anymore. I forgot to ask Bob, do you remember some years back we were both on a private car forum called Foxtrot Oscar? I do remember that, Andy. Yeah, that's a lot. Whatever happened to that? It was really good, actually. Foxtrot Oscar, yeah, that was actually pretty good. I'd forgotten about that. It's funny how things fall out of your memory over time, isn't it? how you go, God, yeah, I remember all that sort of stuff. Like boards.ie used to be gigantic in Ireland. I remember being on it and being asked loads of questions, car questions and all sorts. I was on the motors forum in there as well. And then somebody took Hump one day, and you end up getting banned for no reason whatsoever, because they feel like it. And then I was on banned, and then it's just, well, I only came in to answer questions. Stick it, like. And then boards just died of death because they did it repeatedly. Just put moderators in, it just killed it. And it's still kind of limping along there in the background. Have you ever considered a future classics item, Bob? What to buy now while it still can? Cars are just old cars, not part of a scene yet, and prices going mad. I have, and yes, I could. It would just be a video of like top 10 future classic stuff, but the problem is the market is nearly dead for this sort of stuff now, and there's a big issue. The kind of classic collectible car has peaked in the last 2 years, I'd say. It's really finding it very difficult to get on its feet again. People are not so sure about investing in cars. It used to be a sure bet. There was 5 or 6 cars worldwide that you could definitely buy tomorrow and make money on. Just held on to it for 6 months. Now there's other cars you could definitely buy, put in a garage, just leave it sitting there all nicely covered up and tucked up, and in a couple of years time you'd make 5 or 6 grand on the transaction. But that kind of money's dead now. Classic cars now tend to exchange hands within a club, so a car will actually just go around the club owned by 4 or 5 different people. And that's the difficulty right now with classic cars, is that it's very hard to get a good one that isn't priced out of the market, like way overpriced. And things like barn finds and stuff, they're few and far between these days. Those barns are all gone, man. Most people have been killing themselves trying to find stuff. So yeah, I could definitely do a video on future classics, but it'd be a difficult one. The stuff to buy now is what's going to survive. If you can mine the car right now, my Seat Leon will definitely be a future classic. In another 10 years, I'd say that car would be worth 3 times what it's worth now, if I keep it the way it is. The problem is that keeping it, because it's actually in use and the mileage is way too high, so to be a future classic. Maybe the answer is to collect a humdrum Proton spring to mines. Yes, it is. You know, the more it's funny to say, most of the classic cars that are out there right now are the ones that were mined. They survived the culling of classic cars. They survived the trade-ins and all that sort of stuff over the years. They tend to be the ones that last. The other ones are the most ordinary crap thing that you ever seen, like an old Ford Escort 1.3 GL. People want them. They're hugely desirable, but they were crap at the time. They were just an ordinary car at the time. Mark 1 Ford Escort, ordinary car at the time, totally collectible now, worth thousands if you get a clean one. So the more basic it is, the more simple it is, the less that goes wrong with them, and the more collectible they tend to become over the years. What new car feature did you hate when it came out and now love? What feature did you love and now hate? That's a really good question, Jimmy. I think what I didn't like when it started first was the not active cruise control, the active lane keeping. And it's only out maybe 4 or 5 years now. It's where the car is watching the white lines and the yellow lines on the road, and it tries to keep you between them. But it often felt like the car was trying to steer itself hard, and it would resist you doing things. So it took a bit of getting used to. It took your head kind of getting used to the idea of what the car was trying to do. So now, today, I love it. When I see it in the car now, active cruise control, active lane keeping, I switch them on and I'm done. That's what I love mostly. What I now hate, what I loved first was when you had a decent touchscreen, and the touchscreen could be put into Apple CarPlay and it worked fine. Apple have failed miserably to update CarPlay all this time, and it's still crap. The sat-nav is useless. I mean, Siri sat-nav, the Apple-owned version of it, is absolutely dog poo. And there's so many things wrong with the system now, and car companies can't quite get it right either. So there's an element of that absolutely drives me insane when it comes to cars. But other than that, other stuff that has come out that I hated and I like now, no, very little else. Mostly tech stuff that comes out right now. I say this as an owner of a cheap Audi A2. Oh, of course, John is looking to collect, want to drive up the price of the Audi A2. Brilliant car, brilliant. There's one around Portlaoise here. 2 Asian chaps I was talking to the other day have bought this Audi A2, but your man, the guy that owns it, is very into Volkswagen, and so written down the front windscreen on the side of it, it says Volkswagen, even though it's an Audi. It's very weird. Anyway, Land Rover Defender prices are skyrocketing already after production stopped. The proper minis also, since they stopped in 2000, have done well and now seem to be at the point where they will rocket. I'll tell you what would be worth collecting if you can find one. There's a few clean ones still around. A Morris Minor, a standard Morris Minor. If you can get it in anything other than black, you'll definitely have a winner. And if you can find a Traveller version of it, it's worth even more. But those ones were only fetching maybe 2-3 grand a couple of years ago. Now they're fetching maybe 8-9 grand. So they're getting up there very quickly. Another one that will come back this year as well, the Volkswagen Beetle. Don't forget, the Beetle has finished production. I have a very special video coming about Beetle very soon. But the Beetle has finished production, so now we're at the peak of Beetle. There will be no more of them. So don't forget that one, that's coming as well. I still desire an Austin Princess 220 with ribbed velour. I am a sad man. I love them cars. That ribbed velour was actually really comfortable. You'd fall out of it. Like, there's no support in it, but it was a lovely car. The problem with the Princess was it just broke down all the time. But if you can find a clean one, you'd be surprised how desirable they can be and how desirable people want them to be. The problem is that they are riddled with issues. Heating issues, the heater's crap. There's no outside vent, so it doesn't. It's just there's an awful lot of problems with them. But if you can put up the problems, they're actually not a bad car. If it came with the old, was it the Stag V8? That V8 that put out 200 and something horsepower, really decent yoke. That was a proper goer, that car. Now the car will fall apart, but the engine will keep on going. Proper old Fiat Panda would be a good cheap you want to get maintained, small enough to store in the garden shed. Panda, Fiat 500s, the early ones, first ones, would be pretty good as well. If you can find a decent Panda, you'd be doing very well. It's particularly Mark 1. Go back to the older ones. You may have to go to Italy to get one of those though. Bob, is the Octavia really bigger inside than the Golf? No, it'd be margin. It'd be very, very tight margin on that one. Wouldn't be that much bigger, but it would have a bigger boot. So depending if you measure the boot space as interior space or not, as to whether you get an inside size bigger than the others. But actual cabin space, I don't think it'd be much in the difference now between the two. It wouldn't be noticeable. You wouldn't sit inside and go, God, this feels cramped compared to an Octavia. Not going to happen. I'd say i3 is a definite future classic on the basis that its construction alone. BMW is not making another expensive CF or P chassis vehicle once i3 production stops. I have an i3 coming up in a couple of weeks' time with the newer one. It will, yes, it will. Particularly if it'll be a collector's. The i3 will be a collector's item if you understand how it was made. I think a lot of people just take it for granted it's just made like another car, but when you actually look at what BMW go through to make one of these vehicles. It's quite a lump of a thing. You know, the like donkey jackets that are dashboards and things. There's all kinds of things that go onto it. So it's interesting for the unique collector, which is exactly what people think about. There, as a future classic, I think it's definitely collectible. I think it'd be an expensive future classic because of battery thing. As batteries get really old, it could become a problem. I mean, the oldest batteries we have running in cars are still less than 10 years. So, and they're hybrids. They're not full electrics. The modern full electrics should last at least 20 to 30 years, surely. I mean, most engines do that anyway. So, Andy McAfee is delighted that the Beetle has ended. He says, thank Buddha for that, the Beetle. I always liked the Beetle. It was a soft spot for the Beetle over the years. I would never have bought one, but I always had a soft spot for what it did for the car industry. There's a great history behind the Beetle. Volkswagen after the Second World War were in deep crap. That car came out in the middle of the Second World War, designed by Ferdinand Porsche, but that came out and Germany lost the war and were broke and had no money whatsoever, and they started to trade Volkswagen Beetles for food is what happened, giving them to the Americans, the Beetles, and then it came out in the US and the hippies liked it. And they started to buy it, so they started to export Beetles to the US. And that's literally what happened. Germany was being fueled by Volkswagen Beetle. And then they didn't export them to England. England was having none of it, sir. There was not going to be a Volkswagen anything in England after the Second World War, obviously. But the Americans didn't care less, so they started to buy the Volkswagen Beetle, and Germany started to make more of them. Then Germany did the most wonderful thing. They made the Volkswagen van. The van with the split window and the VW up the front, and the whole hippie revolution coming into the late 50s as Germany started to recover, based itself around Volkswagen all of a sudden in the 50s and 60s, and peace and love, man, and flower power came to the fore, and the symbol of all of that was the Volkswagen Beetle and the Volkswagen vans. That's literally what happened. But Germany was feeding. The factory workers were being fed by trading Volkswagen Beetles to the British to the Americans for food, and that's literally what was going on. Volkswagen was out of business. Now look at them; they're one of the strongest companies on earth. So it's an amazing history to the whole thing. Now, for that, I've always had a soft spot as the Beetle over the years. They made a couple of good ones along the way, and some of them are really good. In my opinion, the only SUV in the world that's not ugly is a Range Rover Velar. That dated badly. Have a look at it again now. It looks alright, but it's dating, and I find it a bit weird that I've gone from really loving the look to kind of like, it's not that fabulous. As SUVs goes, they're not about looks, they're about toughness. They have to reflect that tough exterior to them. But like if you look at it, what is one of the most expensive SUVs to buy is the Toyota Land Cruiser. That is hideous. Like, that's an ugly looking car. DeLoreans would be my dream keeper. It's a classic from the moment the first one rolled off the line. Shit to drive though, Annie. You should go try driving one. They're crap to drive. They are so bad. They're nothing like you think they're going to be, but they're absolute pure classic of design. The aluminium, the brushed aluminium, the outside you can't paint them. You have to be very careful to repair them. Audi A2 was basically designed around the idea of the DeLorean the way he did it in the first place. But you know, there's a lot to it. But an amazing car, amazing history. Of course, attached to Back to the Future helped it very much come back into the fore again. But a beautiful yacht to drive. If you ever get around to drive one, they're terrible thing to drive. Even the interior is terrible. It was Mexico that kept producing the original Beetle for decades after, maybe still do. Yeah, it is. Yeah, pretty much the original Beetle is still being made. It was mostly made for the Cuban market, funny enough, for Mexico. But they continue to make the original Beetle for years and years and years and years. And that's down to spare parts supply, which of course, the more of them being produced, the more spare parts there are, the more cars they sell, and so on around. People don't buy new cars, so they buy ones they can repair. And that's what happened to the original Beetle. But it's still going up until a couple of years ago. I think they were still making the real Beetle in Mexico. If Flavins were banished from Ireland, what country would you take the clan to live in? That's a good question. Probably New Zealand. I like New Zealand, although New Zealand's not what it used to be when I was there. I'm back there for long ago. I'm back to year 2000 or something. I was in New Zealand. I lived there for a little bit. Maybe it's not the same country anymore. It's a long time since then. But back then, it was a great place to go and hang out. People were so friendly. People were just so nice to us down there. Every week, everything was about having fun. You worked hard, but you played harder, you know. But it was great. But New Zealand would be good. Lovely place to be. A unique place to be, which is unusual. Good friends still down there. I wouldn't go to America. Germany has always had a massive attraction for me. Southern France, another place that has a massive attraction for me as well. But these places are kind of priced themselves out of the market over the years, so it's very hard to make a decent living there and support yourself in southern France, because it's just everything's very expensive. Germany, on the other hand, is quite nice. In all seriousness, VW ought to make a new Beetle based on the Up. It's the true modern people's car. That is correct. And actually, at the press conference for the launch of the Up, the Beetle was heavily mentioned by the company, but then they stopped mentioning it very quickly. I don't know why. The VW Beetle has on it's the assembly plants in Dublin as well. We don't care either. That's true. I have stood multiple times in MDL, which is in Dublin, where I pick up my Mercedes from. If I ever get a Mercedes, I get it from there. Right now, they just do Mercedes. But there was a time where all kinds of cars were made there. And I'm dying to make a documentary about the whole thing, how it happened, how it got there, but just expensive. Just once you say documentary, oh my God, I need 40 grand is what happens next. Just for research purposes and to get permissions and things. So I'd love to do a documentary on what happened in MDL, how the very first Volkswagen Beetle that was ever made outside of Germany was made in Dublin. There's so many so many different things that happened up there, but it's really brilliant. The company who owns all the DeLorean parts is doing a new build electric versions which fix the powertrain side of the issues with the car. That'd be really good. DeLorean electric, why not? Might as well. Should have got everything else electric as it is. You need to have more electric cars and keep it going. It's always a good place to be. Anyway, I have to wrap this up. It's coming towards the end. The DeLorean is the utter dog of car in many senses, but still something utterly special. That's what Chod is. That's what the Chod cars are. So a car that is made of dreams but delivers nightmares is usually the best way of trying to remember what kind of cars you get. But DeLorean would be one of them. DeLorean is just a pig of a thing to drive, but it looks gorgeous, as is. I had an opportunity a couple of years ago to drive a Lamborghini Countach car, a car that I had on my wall of my bedroom at home. I did, along beside Samantha Fox, I had a Lamborghini Countach. Absolutely, from the first car you see in Cannonball Run, the movie. And I absolutely adored the thing. Held it in terribly high regard all my life. And then about 3 years ago, a mate of mine in the UK flew over. He pulled it out of his driveway, and I went for a spin it. And I was never as disappointed in all my life driving a car. It is a pig of a thing to drive. I loved it still. I love it now. I'd happily put the picture back up my wall right now, but I never want to drive one again. I have no desire left to drive it again. It was a terrible thing to drive. Very weird. Scary and frightening in all respects. But yeah, forget that. Right, we have to wrap this up. It's been absolutely joyous to be back with you on this Sunday. Hopefully you have enjoyed this entire thing. Maybe you'll have subscribed by now if you haven't subscribed already. You may also support this channel in all its efforts to continue to remain free and open and continue to put out independent videos with an independent voice, not advertorial, in other words, like many other channels out there. You can support me down below with the links, which is in PayPal, Patreon, or cryptocurrency, or cash. I don't care, to be honest with you. Anything you can do to keep the channel going is really brilliant. If you want to sponsor the channel, if you're a business out there and you feel like you want to send some money our way in return for some advertising, please get in touch. bobflav@thenextgear.com is my email address. As always, I am on Instagram, I am on Twitter. All of those links are down below. If you're listening to this on a podcast, thank you very much for your patience. You have missed out the visual of my new office, which I suppose is as much visual as you can look at. There's a shelf behind me with some cupboard space. That's about it, really. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Johnny Be Good has still got 2 hours till he finishes work. Come on, stay another 2 hours, Johnny. Oh my god, we've just done 2 hours. No, I'm not staying anymore. You'll get through the next 2 hours, rewind the whole thing, and then go through it all again. It'll be brilliant. Hopefully you've enjoyed this. Please subscribe, please share it with the rest of the community out there, and we'll try and arrange to have an actual physical meetup in the next couple of weeks. I'll see if I can do something around the end of September. How about that? Which would be the last. You can bring your classic, bring your ordinary car, bring just whatever it is you drive on a daily basis, and we'll come and meet here in Midway some Sunday afternoon. Maybe we'll invade somebody else's car meeting, which regularly happens in Midway. Or somewhere, maybe Junction 14 or something. I'll get in touch with the lads out there. I know some of the guys who own Junction 14, and we talk to them. They got a giant car park. So whatever happens, hopefully you'll enjoy the rest of your Sunday and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Make sure you look after everybody out there. Spend time with the people who matter to you, because one of our own has fallen and no respect has been paid to his last name. Gordon Falls, George Falls, who this Sunday service is dedicated to him and his memory. His funeral is tomorrow at 3 p.m. in Mount Jerome in Dublin, and then there's a meeting in Carlow afterwards. So hopefully you can make some of that and give him a proper send-off. Take photographs of all the Italian cars there, share it out in your timeline. He was one of our own. He was here every week and commented most weeks on the Sunday service, and commented on a lot of the videos that I made out there over the time. So please, it'd be brilliant if you do that. I will check it out on Instagram. I'll be in Romania from tomorrow for the next 3 days on the Trans-Phlegarian Highway on a Mazda MX-5. I'll put it up on Instagram live. I'll do a live, maybe a live stream while I'm over there, but there'll be a video coming out of that too. So hopefully you will all look after each other and spend some time with the people who matter to you in your life, and keep positive, keep the head up, and keep moving forward. Until the next time, I will of course see you on the far side.